morning to all of you. And what a great presentation to follow. When I look at what Fabian was talking about, you think about the depths of the ocean, and then he contextualized it to what happens in the outer space. And then you look at the environment here on our planet Earth. And then you look at what happens inside the body, on body. And you can look at everything in terms of technology, the scientific underpinnings of the technology. You'll find the imprints of NSF in all of that. I often say that if you look at your handheld devices, there are probably 30,000 projects of NSF that led to that device that you hold every day now and interact with it. So that's what NSF does. NSF unleashes talent, ideas, innovation, and I always say it's at the end of the day, it's all about the people. And today I'm going to talk about this topic of innovation anywhere, opportunities everywhere. This is something that I've been deeply passionate about. Having come from a smaller state myself, and seen firsthand what happens when you give opportunities for the unbelievable talent that is all across our nation, then amazing things can happen. So I'm going to walk you quickly through the journey of NSF a little bit. NSF was founded by this amazing scientist, Vannevar Bush, 73 years ago, when he, or 75 plus years ago, when he wrote this amazing treatment called Science, the Endless Frontier, to then President Roosevelt, and said, coming out of World War II, what might we do with an agency that can advance science? Advance science not just for the sake of science, but with the objective of how science can impact every aspect of our lives. Advancing human health, prosperity, welfare. How might that then also secure the nation in terms of national defense? And this is the mission statement of NSF. I often would say that such a brilliant scientist set out a mission statement in these days when mission statements have to be changed every few years as a new leader comes on board. This mission statement has stood the test of time. Today, if you take this mission statement and try to see if there is anything that you would do different, any word that you will change, nada, nothing. Because this mission statement is so current today as it was 72 years ago, and that's the brilliance of this amazing scientist, Vannevar Bush. So what I'm going to do is talk about the NSF of the future very, very quickly, walk you through that. One of the gifts I have, apparently, is even though I may be unintelligible, I can speak fast. So therefore, I can cover a lot more. At least I would have the satisfaction, whether you receive it or not, well, that's your problem. So there are three things that NSF is focused on right now. How do we take the unbelievable work of NSF over the last 7 decades, and how do we strengthen its speed and scale so that we might unleash many more innovations and many more people that have essentially made the difference in this nation and across the globe. I call it strengthening the established NSF. Let's talk about established NSF for a moment. What is there to show for? Let's take one metric. The metric of Nobel laureates. NSF has made possible close to 250 Nobel laureates. The only agency in the nation, the only agency anywhere on planet Earth that is responsible for that level of ideas, inspiration, and unleashing this amazing talent. It is those people that make it happen. But NSF invests in their early ideas as they even start their career. I'm so excited today that I see the community schools of Naples students that I met with first thing in the morning, because I always want to meet those unbelievable talent. If you'll all rise up, please. I think this is the amazing talent. This is the future, folks. These are the future Nobel laureates that are sitting right here. It's truly an exciting thing for me. And to see a teacher like Lisa Bryce inspiring her, that's what we need. Thousands and thousands and thousands, let's say millions of Lisa Bryces, to inspire these millions and hundreds of millions of children all across the nation. That's what is going to strengthen this NSF and what NSF makes possible, therefore strengthening the nation and therefore making possible grand challenge solutions all across the globe. The central priority for me at NSF at this point in time is how might we make sure that there is no talent left behind. For far too long, we have left a lot of talent across the geography of our nation, whether it's rural or urban, across the broad socio-economic demographic of our nation, or across the rich diversity of our nation. We are leaving too much talent behind. This is unacceptable for a nation to move forward with that kind of an approach. We cannot, must not tolerate that anymore. We have to inspire those missing millions. We have to make those invisible talent visible. This is something that we all have to take together collectively as a mission moving forward. And NSF is deeply committed to that endeavor. The third thing, while NSF has shown amazing progress, and I'm going to show you a sort of a visual of how NSF's contributions can be visualized, but I can tell you, NSF not only makes possible fundamental discoveries, whatever that might be, but it also makes possible translation of those discoveries into unbelievable products, services, companies, and solving grand challenge problems and solutions to them. And therefore, when I came to NSF, I said we have to make this much more strong, much more explicit, much more intentional, with much more intensity. And so when I came to NSF, we launched a new directorate called the Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships Directorate, or the TIP Directorate, so that it can tip the balance, and that it will be a cross-cutting directorate. And folks, this is the first new directorate in 31 years at NSF, and it's about time that we have such a directorate that takes the unbelievable innovations coming out of the directorates in sciences and engineering, and how do we, working with industry, rapidly translate those into amazing inventions and innovations. But even more importantly, how do those interactions then inform the great work that happens in physics and chemistry and biology and computer science and engineering, social, behavioral, economic sciences, and a whole host of more geosciences, biosciences. How might those then inspire even more innovations at speed and scale? So this moment, therefore, is about, I call, strengthening at speed and scale. So in order to explain this best kept secret NSF, I decided to concoct this term called the DNA of NSF, so that people can understand that what NSF does, on the one hand, NSF makes possible curiosity-driven, discovery-based explorations. Yes, if there is a black hole discovery, if you go ask somebody, which agency do you think would have made that possible, they would say NSF, of course. But that is not just what NSF makes possible alone, as important as that is. NSF also makes possible use-inspired, solutions-focused innovations or translations. And that these are not part of a pipeline, as people would make you to believe, that this is basic research, this is applied research, this is translational research, and then you get some kind of an innovative outcome. These are highly synergistic and symbiotic. Explorations make possible translations and innovations. In turn, innovations make possible more explorations. This richness of the symbiosis is what makes NSF a unique agency. An agency that sort of propels forward through decades and decades, and there are many examples of that. I'll probably go through a few if there is time. That richness is captured through this DNA conceptualization of the synergistic symbiotic relationship, and that's what makes possible innovation everywhere, and therefore opportunities everywhere. This is a defining moment. There's a lot of skepticism, cynicism about, oh, how is science going to be viewed, this and that. I can tell you with no doubt at all, with absolute certainty, this moment has got total bipartisan support for the advancement of science and technology and innovation for our nation. I walk the halls of Congress. I go around with all the senators and congressmen, women. I interact with them, go with them to the districts and do this. I can tell you there is unbelievable enthusiasm and absolute certainty that this is how we are going to move our nation forward and make possible great things for our citizens and solve real challenges. But this moment is not only with bipartisan support, this moment is also challenging us to make sure that we solve the problem of missing millions. And you hear a lot about global competition. For me, global competition is very simply this. It's inspiring us. It's motivating us. It's pushing us even harder to be even more excellent than we have ever been. That's what global competition is about. It's not about the competitor. It's about us. And therefore, how might NSF and NSF partnering with other agencies, NSF partnering with industry, NSF partnering with everything possible, K-12 systems, community college systems, university systems, economic development systems, states, cities, how might we hyper-partner so that we might deliver the outcomes in this moment that is challenging us to do better, more, faster. So if you talk about technologies, I know you're all anxious to hear about technologies. So I'm just going to not, disappoint you, but tell you that there are many, many technological areas that we are advancing. And I call it always, NSF makes possible not only the industries of the future, but also the future of the industries of the future. These terms that you hear about, let's pick AI for example. AI has been an investment of NSF. NSF is the largest. Almost 80% of non-defense funding in computing research is by NSF. The last 5 to 6 decades of NSF investment in AI is what has made possible AI of today. Let's not forget that. AI didn't just happen magically, or machine learning didn't happen magically, my own area of research. Didn't happen magically. It's a sustained investment over several decades, and that's what is important to keep in mind. While we might find some translations happening within a decade, some even less than a decade, but many happens over decades. Whether it is quantum, whether it is AI, and I'll go through a few of those examples. These are the kinds of technologies that we are looking at today as industries of today and tomorrow. But NSF is also, I just want to make sure that it's very, very clear. So when I came to NSF, we are about to launch these AI institutes. And I said that AI institutes have to touch every part of our nation, have to be inspiring every part of our nation, has to be drawing upon talent and ideas from every part of our nation. Whether it is a K-12 inspiration, community college inspiration, research inspiration, industry inspiration, it's got to embrace all inspirations in order that we might do better for ourselves. Today I'm proud to say, and that too doing it with partnerships, I'm proud to say that after 2 rounds of AI Institute investments, 40 states of our nation and the District of Columbia are already participating, with many minority serving institutions, as well as the exemplar institutions that you would think about, industries. In fact, industry co-funding, a consortium of Intel, Accenture, Amazon, Google, co-investing with us. Guess what? The 2 centers, 2 institutes of the first 7, and 2 more institutes of the next 11 were totally funded by the US Department of Agriculture because it is AI for agriculture. Not only are we advancing fundamental ideas of AI into the future, but we are looking at what applications of AI can unleash the possibilities of AI into the future. And so these are examples of some of those AI institutes and AI farms at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which I visited not too long ago with Senator Durbin, is an excellent example of how do you unleash AI innovations for ensuring that we have amazing agricultural outcomes through smart agriculture. Whether it is a supply chain issue, whether it is a labor issue, or whether it is a soil regeneration issue. You can think of the spectrum of things that you can think about in agriculture as problems, that AI-based approaches that can unleash new innovations and possibilities is something that this institute is engaged in. I'm not going to read the slides for you because I know that you're all much smarter than me. Likewise, the second round of institutes has an AI institute focusing on engaging AI for learning. How might we enhance learning outcomes through new approaches that AI makes possible? Quantum. How might this possibilities of quantum, the possibility of quantum computing, quantum networking, the new generation of quantum devices, quantum sensing, how might we unleash that possibility through the NSF Quantum Leap Challenge Institutes that we have launched in partnership with the Department of Energy? And I'm amazed by the interdisciplinary inspirations that are brought together in terms of advancing the quantum futures. And quantum foundries. How might an 8th grader in rural Montana touch the quantum foundry and be inspired by it? So they might then become the future quantum researcher or the quantum scientist or a quantum skill technical worker. So these are the kinds of things that we're working on with programs like Expand QISC. How do we increase the research capacity? How do we increase the skill technical workforce capacity? So NSF is engaged in a broad spectrum of things. I'm just going to tell the story of Ginkgo Bioworks in biotechnology. I'm going to tell you the story of Ginkgo Bioworks to tell you the imprint of NSF all the way through the chain. Jason Kelly was a graduate student at MIT with Reshma Shetty in early 2000s, engaged in synthetic biology research at MIT, working with their advisors, Tom Knight and Drew Endy. They were supported by the NSF Graduate Research Fellowship Program. In mid-2000s, Drew Endy and Tom Knight sent a proposal for a research center for synthetic biology engineering called Sinberg Center, and Jason and Reshma were part of that. NSF supported the research center also. Latter part of 2000s, they spun out a company, the two graduate students spun out a company called Ginkgo Bioworks with their advisor, Tom Knight. They came to NSF for the Small Business Innovation Research Grant, and they succeeded in that in phase 1. And then they came back and did phase 2 and 2A and 2B, and then went on and secured other kinds of small business innovation research investments from other agencies too. And today, it is a $6 billion company operating out of Boston, Massachusetts. People, ideas, inspiration, impact, everything made possible all the way through the investments of NSF. So I just want that to be sort of registered, because it is not just only about, as I said, early ideas. But that's what it is. It's about unleashing innovation anywhere across our nation. And how do we do that? We do that by accelerating public-private partnerships at a much higher level of intensity than we have ever been. How might we accelerate public-private partnerships? There are many, many examples. Platforms for Advanced Wireless Research is a $100 million partnership with 35 advanced wireless companies working together to see how might we advance the future of 6G, 10G, whatever that might be, the next G, so that we might get there a lot more secure, with the aspects of security, privacy, and other things being incorporated as part of the thinking about the future G. In the interest of time, because the clock is running down, likewise, how do we enable pathways to entrepreneurship through programs like the Innovation Core program, the Entrepreneurial Fellowship program that we launched as part of the new TIP Directorate, and just last week we announced this Accelerating Research Translation $60 million program. How do we empower the institutions to be able to take those fantastic ideas that students and faculty generate and rapidly translate them? How do we invest in those so that we might produce those impactful outcomes at speed and scale? The lab to market platforms, which I talked about, the SBAR and SCTR, this is a lettuce bot of a company called Blue River Technology in California. These are the kinds of innovations. You have to really see them. I know we hear about Google and Amazon, as good as they are and as important as they are. These kinds of companies are really transforming the way we are looking at the future. So when I came to NSF, I said innovation, as I told you, should be anywhere across the nation. How do we ensure that? So we created this new program called Regional Innovation Engines. Soliciting ideas. How might we create the Bell Lab-like constructs through public-private partnerships around thematic topics, place-based innovation? What can be good in Naples or in Florida? What can be good in the region of Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Kansas, and Illinois? Where would you have the next Bell Lab of agriculture other than in that location surrounded by industry as one area where you can have the best ideas in agriculture than the heartland right there? How might we generate these unbelievable ecosystems of prosperity around place-based innovation ideas? So we sent out this call. Folks, we got 670 concept papers. Every state, every territory of our nation is represented here. This demonstrates to me that ideas and talent are democratized. This is a proof point of ideas and talent are being democratized. How might we energize these innovative ideas so that we might build this larger innovation ecosystems? We are now looking at the Regional Innovation Engines Type 2 program, which is a $160 million scale program, so that we can actually start to unleash these ideas into amazing, innovative ecosystems and therefore economic development ecosystems, working in partnership with Commerce, with my dear partner, Secretary Gina Raimondo. While we're doing that, I said opportunity should be everywhere. How do we unleash the future STEM workforce? So we have a number of programs that we have launched recently. Excellent program is an internship program. The ATE program, Advanced Technology Education program, is about skill sets development and curriculum around the emerging skill set that needs to be developed in community colleges and other technical training colleges and 2-year and 4-year colleges. How might we build the future technical expertise? Here it is. Just as an example, in the last few months, a $10 million partnership with Micron to generate the workforce of the future when we talk about CHIPS and Science Act and bringing back the semiconductor expertise and advanced manufacturing ideas and the future of semiconducting. $10 million partnership with Intel. $50 million Fuse initiative that we launched in partnership with Samsung, IBM, Ericsson. How might we move forward and Intel? How might we move forward in those areas? And so these are the kinds of intense partnerships that we need to engage in at scale so that we can actually deliver for the nation at much more speed. and I was with the president.
And Intel is going to build a workforce of the future right here in Ohio. As you already heard, Intel committed $50 million to partner with community colleges and universities like Ohio State University, including Central State University, the only historically black university in Ohio, to build a pipeline for students in the semiconductor industry. The director of National Science Foundation is here, Dr. Panch. He's here, and IF and Intel are going to invest $50 million each to support these kinds of partnerships.
How might we unleash these kinds of innovations everywhere? Everywhere. Rural, urban, all 50 states. We have got to do this. Yes, we have to empower what's happening in Silicon Valley, what's happening in Austin, what's happening in Kendall Square, and do a lot more. But that alone is not sufficient. It has to happen everywhere across our nation. And as Fabian said, the time is now. And we need to get this done. And that's the urgency. And that's why this partnership of working with all sectors and unleashing this is a great priority for NSF. And I hope that all of you will join in this partnership, because we need every one of you. And that's why I'm here. Randy, thank you so much for inviting me and putting this amazing event together. And I hear you've been doing this for many years. Kudos to you. But this is about partnership. If we really want to get this done, folks, it cannot be done by NSF alone. That's why I say that an underpinning of NSF's work is partnership, partnership, partnership of every kind, of every type, of every mode, with everyone. All the way ranging from the Lisa Bryces, the teachers that are inspiring the students, to the K-12 students, to working with Sesame Street and seeing how we might inspire pre-K. How might we do this? This is a kind of partnership that we need of every type, all the way. And it's lifelong learning, as we all know. It is not about pipelines anymore. It's about pathways. People can come in, go out, come in, go out. And all of you that are here, as I'm seeing you, have a lot more possibilities to go back and get your new degrees now. If you don't believe this, my father at the age of 81, having been a PhD in an astrophysicist, went back and did a master's in history at 81, back in India. We have got a lot of time, folks, to do amazing things, and that's what is being made possible today. It's being made possible today that we can have this lifelong learning aspirations realized, and that you can contribute your inspiration in all the ways in which our nation can be in the vanguard and continue to leap forward in the vanguard of innovation. And that's what we all have to collectively endeavor to do. I seek all your partnership and your ideas. Bring it on. And my name is Panch, and my email is spanchan, spanchan @nsf.gov. If you have a good idea, if you would like to partner, send it to me. I read all my emails, much to the chagrin of my folks. And sometimes I respond too. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with all of you today.